Almost every village in Alaska is struggling to survive, to keep the old ways strong while finding new ways to make a living. An impossible dream to some, but there's a woman on St. Paul Island in the Aleutians who believes it's possible to have the best of both worlds.
Tonight, Rhonda McBride takes a closer look at Debbie Lestenkof, who she says always looks back for answers back to the future.
St. Paul Island, the edge of the world, unless you live here.
I never think of it as the edge of the world.
The tattoo, it's the first thing you notice about Debbie Lestenkof. But before there's time to ask about them, the waves roll in.
Yep, probably.
Suddenly, you're swept up in the magic of a land that no longer seems like the middle of nowhere. It's the home of the Lakut, Aleut for fur seal. Every summer, they return to bring their pups into the world. Life starts in a place that seems harsh. Not a single tree to be found, just lots of jagged volcanic rock, rough, except for the rookeries.
These rocks aren't that way, they're smooth.
After coming here for thousands of years, the seals have made their mark.
It's just all nice and smooth, there's no jagged edge to it.
Even when snow covers the rookeries, the smell of seal lingers.
It smells like home.
The Aleuts believe it's the smell that helps the seals find their way home. But they've been returning in fewer numbers, about 5% less every year. While scientists try to figure out why, the Tribal Ecosystem Office is doing its part to improve the odds for the pups. As co-director of the program, Debbie Lestenkof has made cleaning up these beaches a priority. Every spring, before the seals arrive, the community rallies to haul out the old nets and other trash from fishing boats. Most of it comes from faraway places like Asia and even South America. But it's here that it threatens to entangle and kill young seals.
This is a seal, a fur seal bone.
Also known as the tuku bone, or the yes-no bone. You toss it in the air. If it lands one way, the answer is no.
Or if it lands right on top, just like this, then the answer is yes.
For Debbie, the answer is yes to a question that almost all Alaska Native villages have struggled with. Can traditional values and economic development coexist? With the fishing industry in big trouble, the islanders need answers fast. Alan Kosloff says he and other fishermen got out of the business several years ago only to find very few other ways on the island to make money. And when there are jobs, people don't always have the skills.
Kind of scary right now.
With cereal almost $7 a box, you can understand why harvesting seals for food is important.
It just makes my mouth water run.
Mary Bordakoski is cooking up some seal ribs for supper. She's glad to see the beach cleanups to help make sure that there will always be a seal in every pot. She says every village needs a Debbie.
Oh, if there were hundreds of Debbies, other villages would become clean too.
Peter Gabe Titoff was once a janitor, but the environmental movement Debbie is trying to grow here has given him work as an island sentinel. Dustin Jones is also an island sentinel.
I think Debbie's more of a teacher than anything.
A teacher who taught him a lesson that changed his life. These beaches bring back memories of a time when Dustin was 13 years old, when he and Debbie's son and another boy thought they were being manly when they took some seals. A wildlife biologist saw them on the shore cooking their catch and asked Debbie to tell them they had broken the law. She did, but without breaking their spirit.
That's great, they're good hunters. But, this is not the right time. These are little seals and they're not quite edible yet. And, you want to wait till they get bigger and they can feed more people. And
she helped guide us through that, made it more of a learning experience. That's what she made it out to me.
which of your dances have to do with something from outdoors on St. Paul? The seal harvest dance.
For Debbie, it was a learning experience too. that young people on the island were losing touch with their culture, a culture she had been working for years to revive. 10 years ago, Debbie was one of several women who volunteered to help bring back Aleut dancing. But the tradition had long disappeared, and she wondered what they would do until one night the movements came to her in a dream.
The wind was blowing the grass and it was glistening.
Suddenly, 3 people wearing traditional regalia materialized.
And my first reaction was, maybe this is something I should be afraid of. But then they started to dance and they started to move with the grass and go off to the side and come back up with the grass and move. And it was just this dance with the grass, and then they just disappeared.
A dream that haunted Debbie until she decided it was her ancestors' way of reaching out from the beyond. But the ill-advised seal hunt woke her up to a deeper understanding that to dance is not enough, that the children need a connection to the land.
Everything we do right now here in the Bering Sea, we do it because of where we are, more than because of who we are.
Environment, she discovered, is the key to culture and to economic development. Millions are being spent in the Bering Sea to study the seals, money that could create jobs here.
Hopefully, it could bring 2 ways of knowing together.
Science and traditional knowledge. So far, a successful partnership in controlling pollution on the island.
Balancing 2 things is a part of life. You have men, you have women, you have black, you have white, you have red, you have green.
One of the most difficult balancing acts, the pull between native spirituality and Christianity. Debbie was the daughter of a respected Russian Orthodox priest who tried to bring harmony between the 2 worlds. Debbie's father is gone, but his words still light the way. One day in her memory stands out. Her father was preparing for a sermon and suddenly stopped to look out over the village and reflect on how grateful he was that through the church he had been able to help his people through difficult times. Then he turned to Debbie and said,
"But sometimes I always wonder what it was like in the past when our people lived with and respected the earth, the sea, and the sky."
The joy of her father's words still ring out. In Debbie's house, you'll find plenty of signs that she's exploring native spirituality, past and present. You'll also find baskets woven not from grass,
See what this feels like.
but telephone wire, weaving old ways with the new. And there's a painting of a woman with a tattoo, a design that explains her ancestry, a tattoo a lot like Debbie's.
I don't live for other people. I'm not saying that I'm selfish and live for myself. But I really believe that I need to go through some things in order to understand them fully.
Never one to follow the herd, the search for ways to live the best of both worlds is still undiscovered country. But it's Debbie Lestenkof's chosen path, with words from her father ever in the wind, reminding her to
compare the 2. Thousands of years, 200 years. 200 years is nothing.
Western culture, just one wave among many in the sea of time.
That was Rhonda McBride reporting. Now, Debbie Lestenkof says she's not done yet. She'd like to get more involved in restoring the Aleut language.
Right.